Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kisha. I'm the author of the Glamorous French Housewife blog, in case you're new here, and that link is below. Today I am back with a spring dinner your family is going to love, I promise. So this is my prosciutto wrapped chicken and asparagus one skillet dinner. Super simple, easy to make, and I'm going to show you exactly how I do it. But first, let's go through the ingredients so I can show you everything you're going to need to make this recipe. Of course, you're going to need some prosciutto. You can find this in your deli. This is amazing stuff. You'll get hooked if you have it, I promise. You're going to need a bunch, just one bunch of asparagus. And you're going to cut off the woody stems and then cut the rest in about 2-inch pieces. However, I left this pile over here because I recommend freezing this if you like asparagus soup. And then you're going to need a couple tablespoons of just some all-purpose flour, salt and pepper. You're going to need some olive oil, and you're also going to need some heavy whipping cream. You're going to need about 2/3 cup of heavy whipping cream. You're going to need just a couple tablespoons of olive oil. And then you're going to need some basil pesto, and I'm going to show you exactly how I make my own in this video. Super simple, but you're going to need one bunch of basil, about 1/4 of a cup of pine nuts. You're also going to need about 1/2 cup of some pepperino cheese, and you're also going to need a couple cloves of garlic and about 2/3 of a cup of olive oil. And then you're also going to need your chicken. You're going to need about 1 pound of chicken. I mean, this is probably just a little over 1 pound. And I just cut these breasts with my knife. I'm not going to touch them. I'll just show you. I just like cut the breast in half, just so they're not as big and thick, so they don't take so long to cook. So let's get set up to make this wonderful spring dinner. Okay, so we're set up and ready. I have my chicken breast. As I said, I'm going to have to touch them now. I just have the breast. Super easy, and you get more for your buck that way. You don't want huge. This one's like the largest one I have, but I could definitely cut that. I will. And this is how I mean. You just cut it kind of like at an angle. Just like that. And then it kind of cooks lighter. Alright, so you're going to take your flour and you're just going to dust your chicken with it. Just kind of give it a good dusting on one side and the other. You don't have to put a lot, you're just going to lightly flour it. Now what we're going to do with the asparagus is we're going to steam it. So if you want, make sure before you start this part, you can go ahead and start heating up a pot of water. If you don't have like a steaming basket, you can certainly roast it. It doesn't matter. So you can see how light the dusting is. It's not much. And I'm going back over. And just kind of giving it a good dusting. Now, before I move on, because I should have thought about this first, I'm going to wash my hands because I'm going to pick up my salt and pepper shaker. Okay, so my hands are washed. I'm just going to take a little bit of salt. Remember, the prosciutto, in case you don't know, is like a cured ham. And you do not want to add too much salt because it's already salty. So salt and pepper. A little more pepper than salt. And then I'm just going to turn it over with a fork so I don't contaminate my hands. This is one of the meals my family loves in the spring. We have made this for so long. It's one of those go-to recipes if you have like guests that you're not expecting, or even if you are expecting. This is one of those go-to recipes that's a hit every time. A little bit of salt, remember, not much. So now that we got them dusted, we got the salt and pepper on them, we're going to take our prosciutto and we're going to wrap it around the chicken. And it has little plastic pieces. Just be careful, it's thin. And all we're going to do is take it around the chicken breast and wrap it. Just like that. And then I'm going to put the part that's the seam at the bottom. I'm going to do that with the rest of the chicken. I think everybody is looking for chicken recipes. That's the one thing I think I get emailed the most about, is chicken recipes. Okay. You don't have to be too particular. Even if it doesn't look like it is going to stay, it will. Just get that prosciutto wrapped around those chicken breasts. Just like that. And we're going to drizzle some olive oil into a pan and heat that pan up. We're going to start cooking this chicken. It's going to take about 5 to 6 minutes per side. Over medium-high heat, not too high, or the prosciutto will get way done before the chicken. So keep it at kind of like a medium-high. There we go. Jackson likes this meal, so that should tell you something. Because he doesn't like any chicken meal, hardly. He is picky. Okay, and I'm going to take half of this one around, because I have another package, I just don't really want to open it. And I think this one needs just a little bit more. Okay, so let's get our olive oil heating up, and we can start cooking these and get our water ready for our asparagus. So cook the chicken for about 5 or 6 minutes over medium-high on one side, and then flip it and cook it for 5 or 6 minutes on the other side. And because it's chicken, I like to make sure it's thoroughly cooked, and I'm just going to put a lid on this. If the chicken is sticking, that means you need to let it cook for a couple more minutes. Don't try to move it, and once it's cooked a little more, it will release from the skillet. Now, I have a steamer basket, but I just wanted to show you that you could definitely use a colander. Make sure the water doesn't touch the bottom of it, and put it right on top, and just put a lid on. Everybody, I think, owns a colander. This will work just fine over a pot. So I put the asparagus in the basket, and I'm just putting a random lid over it. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. I'm going to give it about probably 5 or 6 minutes, just so the asparagus gets nice and tender. If you don't want to do this, you could certainly roast it in the oven, or you could even put it on a skillet and, in a skillet and tenderize it that way too. So in this bowl, I have 1/3 heavy cream, and then I took 1/4 of a cup of the pesto and put it in here. If you want to see my recipe on the basil pesto, it couldn't be simpler. Just keep watching. I'll put it in right here. To make the basil pesto, it couldn't be easier. You're going to need about 2/3 of a cup of olive oil. You're going to need about 2 cups of fresh basil leaves. These came straight out of my kitchen herb garden. I will pull them off the stems. A couple cloves of garlic, about 1/4 of a cup of pine nuts, and you're going to need about 1/2 a cup of fresh pecorino cheese. So I'm only going to use, a little bit of this, and it's going to be delicious. So in my food processor, I have the 2 cups of basil leaves, the 2 garlic cloves, and the pine nuts. And now we're just going to pulse it until it's all like chopped up together. And you don't have to do this, but it's just, I guess, the baker in me that wants to push it down on the sides, and then I'm going to give it one more little whirl. So that's with 1/3 cup of oil, and now I'm going to put the lid back on and slowly put in the rest of the olive oil. And now we're going to add some fresh salt and pepper. So I grated up about 1/2 a cup of the pepperoni cheese, and it's going straight in. Lid on. I'm only going to turn this on for a second. I don't want the cheese to be too chopped up, but I'm going to turn it on and let it kind of mix up a little bit. And there is our delicious basil pesto. See how the prosciutto stays on the chicken? I just flipped it, and I'm going to put the lid right back on it until the chicken is cooked thoroughly, probably another 5 or 6 minutes. And over here you can see the asparagus steaming away beautifully. So once the asparagus is fork tender, you're going to run it under cold water to shock it to keep it from cooking any longer, and it will keep that beautiful green color. Okay, so the prosciutto wrapped chicken is done, and I have the heavy cream, the 1/3 cup. So the prosciutto wrapped chicken is done, and I have the heavy cream, which is 1/3 cup of heavy cream, and 1/4 cup of the basil pesto mixed together, and I have my asparagus that I steamed and then shocked in cold water. We're going to pour, and I have this down on medium-low, we're going to pour our heavy cream mixture right in. And then we're going to put the asparagus in. Yum, this is going to be an amazing dinner. And at the last minute, I decided to go ahead and add just some halves of some sweet cherry tomatoes. I usually do this in the summer. I just didn't think I had cherry tomatoes, and I looked in the refrigerator, and I do. So feel free to add these. They just give it an extra pop of color, and they, make it a little more fresh tasting. So I'll show you how this is plated up. It's going to be a delicious dinner. So tonight I'm just serving it with a piece of crusty bread that we can kind of, dip into that delicious cream and basil pesto sauce. I shredded a little bit more cheese on top, and this is what we're eating tonight. It's a weeknight. We don't really feel like, making a lot, and you got your meat, and you got a couple of vegetables and your starch with the bread. This is perfect. If you're serving it up with company, you could definitely serve it up with some type of maybe angel hair pasta, which I have before, and make it a little more substantial. But this is a delicious dinner that I'm sure you're going to love if you try it. I promise you will love it. Just go ahead and get everything you need to make it and let me know how you like it. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave those below, and this recipe is in the down bar, and it's also on my blog at kjaggers.com. And if you've enjoyed this video and want to see more spring-like dinners, be sure to give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. I'm sorry that throughout the video the lighting changes some. We eat dinner pretty late, but usually I start it before the sun goes down, so I know there is a lighting difference, but this is delicious. This is one of my family favorites for spring, and I'm sure it will become one of your family favorites too. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.